Welcome to our channel. It's time now to rest. Wherever you are, however your day has gone, let it melt away. Let the weight of the day slide gently from your shoulders, and let your eyes soften. Your breath slow, and your thoughts begin to drift, like leaves floating on a quiet stream. Feel your body sink deeper into stillness. With every breath, a little more calm, a little more ease, as if a gentle breeze were brushing across your face, and the only sound is the hush of nightfall. You're safe here. This is a story meant for your rest, a soft, starlit path into your dreams. Now, gently, let's begin. But first, if you enjoy this deep dive, please to like the video and subscribe. Our story tonight begins on the edge of a quiet valley, where mist gathers like a woolen shawl across the shoulders of the earth, and stars prick the night sky like silver embroidery stitched into deep velvet. It is All Souls' Night, a night when the veil is soft, when, so it is said, the souls of those long past might walk gently through the world once more, not to frighten, but to visit, to be remembered. In this little valley, tucked behind tall, whispering pines, is a village so small it has no name marked on any map. Only the traveling birds know it well. Only the wind carries its name in song. And on this night, under a crescent moon, a lone figure walks the winding dirt path into that forgotten village. A minstrel, his cloak patched and faded, his boots worn soft with many miles. Strapped to his back is a lute, carved from ash wood, with strings that sing sweet and low. He walks slowly, not with weariness, but with reverence. For he, too, remembers what night this is. The lantern he carries glows golden through the mist, and in that golden halo, the world feels quieter, softer. As the minstrel enters the village, he finds it sleeping, the shutters drawn, the hearth fires dying low. But here and there, on the stone sills of crooked cottages, sit fresh loaves of bread, round, soft, some wrapped in linen, others crowned with little crosses pressed into the dough before baking. They are not left for the living. These are soul loaves, an old tradition, once practiced in hamlets and towns across medieval Europe, given in kindness to nourish wandering spirits, to ease their journey or offer comfort in case they linger near. The minstrel smiles, for this village, this quiet place, has not forgotten. He stops before one such window where the scent of warm rye rises into the crisp air, and he takes a breath so slow, so deep, that he almost forgets it is cold. The bread reminds him of his childhood, of his grandmother's hands dusted in flour, of the crackle of fresh crust breaking open beneath her knife. And then, softly, he begins to play. The lute's song floats through the village like a drifting wisp of smoke, gentle, low, tender. He plays a tune he learned long ago from another traveler beneath another moon, a lullaby for souls who've wandered too long. And the village listens, not with ears, perhaps, but with something older, deeper. The timbers of the houses seem to lean in. The wind hushes its rustle through the trees. Even the mist stills. As the minstrel walks, he plays. Past the baker's cottage with smoke still curling from the chimney, past the chapel, its bell rope swaying ever so faintly in the breeze, past the well, mossy and ancient, where wishes once echoed. And here, in this moment, you too are walking with him. Can you hear the soft crunch of frost beneath your feet? Can you smell the bread earthy, warm, spiced faintly with rosemary? Let your breath match the rhythm of the minstrel's steps in and out. Slow and slower, he comes to rest beneath an elm tree at the village square, where a single candle burns in a lantern left there by someone with a gentle heart. He places his pack down. He kneels beside the lantern, and he begins to hum. This night is not one of fear, but of remembrance, of warmth shared between the living and those who came before. The minstrel remembers a tale told to him long ago, that on All Souls' Night the scent of bread is a guide, a trail of comfort leading spirits home, and the song of a lute, well, that's a welcome, a door left open. So he sings now, not loudly, but just enough for the stars to hear. It is a song of homecoming, of long roads walked, and hearths found again. And in that moment, if you were to listen closely, you might hear another voice, soft, layered beneath his, like a memory made of music. But hush, now, don't reach for it. Just listen. Let it float past you like mist. Let it guide your dreams the way candlelight leads footsteps. The story has just begun, and already you are far from your waking world, safe beneath the stars, wrapped in the music of soul and song, cradled in the scent of warm bread and quiet magic. Let yourself drift. There's still much more to follow. Of course, let the world around you soften again. Let your thoughts dissolve like sugar in warm milk as we return to the quiet valley where the mist is still gently curling through the trees, and the minstrel's song still hums softly beneath the moon. The night deepens, a velvet hush settling over the rooftops. Each window glows faintly, like the last embers in a hearth. And yet, the village does not feel empty. It feels watched over, as if unseen eyes are smiling, somewhere just beyond the lamplight. The minstrel, his song now barely more than a whisper, lays a hand across the curved back of his lute. He lets the last notes fade, like breath on glass, and in the stillness he hears the softest of sounds, a creak, a tap, and then the shivering hush of footsteps on frost. Not from behind him, not from the path, but above. His eyes lift toward the bell tower. There, in the high stone arches, something shimmers, just for a moment, as if moonlight had stepped out of its place in the sky to take a slow walk among the eaves. The minstrel doesn't startle. He only smiles, for this is what he has come for. You see, in forgotten villages such as this one, the lines between stories and truth wear thin, and on this one night each year when bread is left for the unseen, and music drifts through lantern-lit streets, old things stir. Not wicked things, but old and very quiet. The villagers long ago believed that certain souls never left. They lingered not from sorrow, but from love, from duty, from the deep desire to see just once more the way the snow rested on rooftops, or how the candles flickered in the windows. These souls, they said, could be gently coaxed into the open with the right tune, the right warmth, and a gift of bread. And so the tradition was kept, and so the minstrel travels, year after year, from village to village, playing songs that warm even the chill of memory. This year he has chosen this valley, this place, where even the air feels like a lullaby. He reaches into his satchel and draws forth a small bundle, wrapped in linen, tied with a piece of green thread. Inside is a single loaf, still warm. He did not bake it. It was gifted to him by the baker before all doors were shut for the night. A special loaf, the baker had whispered, made with rosemary and a pinch of elderflower, for luck, for longing. The minstrel unties the bundle and places the loaf on the low stone wall of the square. The lantern beside it flickers softly, casting honey-gold shadows across the bread's crust. And then he plays again. A different song this time, slower, deeper, woven from chords like moss and smoke and winter fog. And as he plays, the village seems to lean closer once more. The mist thickens, but not in fear. It curls like arms around the old houses, wrapping everything in a quiet embrace. A shutter clicks open, a curtain stirs. The scent of something floral lavender perhaps floats by on the breeze. No footsteps, no voices, only presence. And somewhere, far away, a soft bell rings. The minstrel closes his eyes. That is not of this world. It is the sound of welcome, of old souls listening, of memories finding their way home. And you, dear listener, you are here too, watching by the lantern's light, resting beside the minstrel, held gently in the folds of the night. With every strum of the lute, the cold feels farther away, the air thickens with calm, as if the story itself were tucking you in. Imagine it now, the stone wall warm beneath your palms, the soft loaf steaming in the cool air, the music vibrating through your chest like a heartbeat slowed to sleep. The minstrel plays for a long while, though time no longer seems to pass the same way. In the realm of songs and soul loaves, clocks lose meaning, and eventually, when the last note hums itself into silence and the mist settles like a blanket, he speaks. Just one word, not to you, not even aloud, but to them, and whoever hears it with a heart, not ears. Then, the shimmer in the bell tower fades, the curtain stills, the air sighs, and the loaf is gone. Only the linen remains, gently folded, as if unseen hands had thanked him, as if they too remembered. Let your breath deepen now. Let this moment hold you like a cradle of stars. The minstrel will rest tonight beneath the elm, beneath a sky full of ancient eyes, and you are safe and still and ready for what dreams may come. Let your body soften again, as if each breath you take is a feather floating down, as if the air around you carries lavender and lullabies. You're safe here, wrapped in quiet words. We return now to the valley, to the minstrel, and the gentle hush of All Souls' Night. The minstrel sleeps, not with blankets or fire, but with the stillness of someone long practiced in comfort beneath the stars. The elm tree shelters him, its wide branches spreading like a canopy of peace, while the soft fog curls around his boots. His lute rests beside him, its strings stilled but still humming with memory. And just beside it, the empty linen cloth, folded with uncanny care. In this village, time does not rush. The night stretches long, like a deep sigh that never needs to end. And yet, as the stars begin to drift across the sky, as the moon leans toward the horizon, another sound begins to rise. Not music, not footsteps, but hooves, soft, steady, slow. From the woods beyond the village edge, a horse approaches. Its coat is black as shadow, but its hooves glow faintly, as if dipped in frostlight, and upon its back a rider, not cloaked like the minstrel, not armored like a knight. This rider wears robes the color of parchment, stitched with blue thread in looping, ancient patterns, and across their back a curved box made of polished oak, a portable writing desk. This is a scribe, a rare traveler, even in the days of parchment and plume, and rarer still because this one does not blink. Their eyes move like water across the village's slumber, absorbing, remembering, as if capturing this quiet moment for some great book of nights. The minstrel stirs, not with surprise, but with welcome, as if he expected this guest. He sits up slowly, brushing dew from his shoulders, and gestures softly to the stone wall beside him. The scribe dismounts. No words are exchanged, only nods. Only the language of those who carry stories, not in voice, but in silence. The scribe opens their box and draws out a long, narrow scroll. Its surface shimmers faintly, not paper, but vellum of parchment made from calfskin, once used only for the most sacred texts. By the light of the lone lantern, the scribe begins to write. Each stroke of the quill is deliberate, a soft scratch, scratch, like tiny footsteps across the world of memory. They are writing down the events of the night, the music, the bread, the shimmer in the bell tower, even the presence of you, yes, you, the listener, for they believe that those who dream of a place are just as real as those who walk in it. The minstrel watches not with impatience, but with peace. He has seen this before. Every year, after the last loaf is taken, a scribe appears to record the tale, to keep the memory alive for another 100 winters. There is a quiet belief among traveling minstrels, a whisper passed down from one to the next, that some stories are written in the air, and must be caught quickly before they vanish with the mist. And scribes, they catch them. They bottle them in scrolls, press them between pages, bind them with thread dyed in midnight and moonbeam. The scribe finishes the scroll. With a reverent breath, they seal it with a wax stamp shaped like an open eye, not a threatening one, but a watchful, steady gaze. Then they place the scroll in a leather satchel, already heavy with other stories, so many from other villages, other nights, other soul loaves left for unseen hands. Without a word, they bow to the minstrel. He bows in return. Then the scribe mounts the black horse, and with the gentlest tug of the reins, they vanish back into the mist, hooves silent now, as if they were never here. But they were, and the story was kept, because every soul, seen or unseen, deserves to be remembered. The minstrel, still seated on the stone wall, closes his eyes. He doesn't sleep again. Not yet. Instead, he lets the calm wash over him, a deep, endless tide. The hush after a bell stops ringing. The quiet weight of being known, even by silence. And as the sky begins to pale, as a faint silver light warms the edges of the hills, he stands. He gathers his things. The lute is placed gently into its worn case. The linen cloth, folded and folded again, tucked into a pocket near his heart. Then he begins to walk, not fast, not slow, just onward, because the path always leads to another place that remembers, and another night where stories must be sung and loaves must be offered to those we cannot see, but will always feel. And perhaps, just perhaps, you too will leave a piece of bread one day and hum a tune as the stars blink gently overhead. Now drift with him through the softening dawn, through dew-drenched grasses, through pages being written in invisible ink. There is more to come. Let your breath lengthen once more, as if each inhale is drawn from a quiet well, and each exhale settles you deeper into soft moss and story. The minstrel's boots press gently into the earth. The valley exhales behind him, grateful, spent, still dreaming. And now his journey unfolds again. It is morning, but not bright, the kind of morning that lingers in mist, where the sun is shy and light arrives in whispers. The minstrel walks a winding path between hedgerows. Above him, dew-heavy branches bend low, as if bowing in recognition. He hums a simple melody, the kind a mother might murmur while combing her child's hair in a rush of candlelight. It's not a performance, not a song for ears, just something to keep company with the birds. Soon the land changes, the trees thin. Stone walls line the road, and there, just beyond a gate sagging on its hinges, rises a peculiar little building. Not a home, not a chapel, but a round stone hut, its roof capped in moss, its wooden door carved with symbols worn nearly smooth with time. The minstrel pauses. His fingers brush the edge of his satchel. He retrieves the folded linen cloth. Then, carefully, he steps inside. This is not a place of worship, nor a place of sleep. It is a place of listening, You see, long ago, in the reign of King Edward the Peaceful, certain villages built murmur houses, tiny, round sanctuaries built for no one to live in, only to remember in. It was believed, gently, quietly believed, that if you whispered a name into the stone at dawn, the wind would carry it to wherever that soul might be. Not a spell, not a guarantee, just a kindness. The minstrel kneels, the interior is bare, a single stool, a stone basin, a woven mat. He places the linen cloth on the mat, a token from the soul who received the bread, a sign that one more story had passed gently into memory. Then he whispers, one name, soft as breath, and the walls, so old they no longer creak, seem to lean inward, listening. There is no answer, only stillness, but somehow that feels like enough. The minstrel stays a while longer. He runs his hand across the old wood of the stool. He lets the silence hold him, like a lullaby sung without sound. Then he rises and steps once more into the mist. Further down the road, the world grows greener. The hills swell gently on either side, blanketed in early summer clover. Birdsong rises, but nothing sharp, just a kind of singing that drifts across the air like falling petals. The minstrel passes a field where sheep graze under the lazy gaze of a straw-hatted boy, and beyond that a stream wide and clear, its banks dotted with violet-blue flowers known as speedwell. He stops here, not because he is weary, but because there is something in the air, something older. He steps to the water's edge and kneels beside a low, flat stone. Here, too, he unwraps the satchel. Not the loot this time, not bread either, but a folded scrap of parchment, faint ink, stiff edges, the writing faded. It is a song, not written by him, written long ago by a girl named Alina of Kent, a peasant's daughter who once composed songs that spread from farm to market without her ever leaving her village. She was 14, and her melodies traveled farther than her footsteps ever did. Minstrels keep such songs. They call them gifts carried in the mouth, passed down from voice to voice, so they may never be forgotten. This one is called The Sleep of Stones. It's about how even rivers dream. The minstrel does not sing it loudly. He simply places the parchment on the flat stone, weighs it with a single violet bloom, and lets the stream's hush become the song's final verse. He will hum it later, in the next village, perhaps in a cradle's shadow, perhaps beside a baker's door. But for now, he lets it rest, like everything in this moment, resting, so you may drift deeper and deeper until thought becomes quiet weather, passing gently through the valleys of your mind. We are not yet at the next village, but that is the gift of bedtime wandering. It is not about the arrival. It is about the hush in the in-between. So let this hush hold you now. You are walking with the minstrel. The path is soft beneath your feet. The hills wrap around you like folded pages, and every breath you take turns the next leaf in the story. Let's keep walking through the dream-soft path, where silence is tender, and time moves as slowly as candle wax. Breathe in the hush of moss-covered stones. Breathe out the weight of the waking world. We return now to the gentle journey of the minstrel, whose songs guide us like lanterns through mist. The sun never quite breaks through the clouds. Instead, the day wears a soft silver light, like a shawl wrapped over the shoulders of the hills. The minstrel follows the curve of the land to where the trees lean closer together, creating a tunnel of green and gold. Birds do not sing here, but that is not to say it's silent. There is a sound, like breath in a library, the kind of quiet that listens to itself. This is the forest of pages. It is not called that because of books. There are no shelves, no libraries, no scribes, but rather the leaves of the trees each carry a faint trace of ink. No one knows why. Perhaps a forgotten alchemist lived nearby. Perhaps it is just a kindness of the land. But when the wind stirs, the leaves murmur, and it sounds like the rustle of turning pages. The minstrel slows his pace. His fingers drift along the bark of one tree, where moss has grown in the shape of a crescent moon. He smiles, for this is where he will stop for the midday hour, to rest, to tune his strings, and perhaps to listen. He removes his lute and sits cross-legged at the base of an ash tree. This particular ash, according to legend, is over 200 years old, and once served as a message post for traveling monks. They carved small glyphs into the trunk, a secret language of symbols that meant things, like fresh water nearby or friendly hearth ahead. The carvings are barely visible now, softened by time, but still there if you know how to look. The minstrel leans in. He traces one of the symbols, an open hand beside a flame. It means you are welcome here, and that's exactly how the air feels. Welcoming, still, protective. He strums the lute. Just once, the note rings out and is quickly swallowed by the trees. But in its echo, he hears something else. A soft rustle, then the gentle fall of something from above. Not a leaf, a piece of vellum. It floats down like a feather and lands in his lap. No signature, no date. Only a poem written in a careful, looping hand. If you must walk alone, let the trees remember your name. Leave a note in the wind, and we will carry it gently. The minstrel exhales slowly. This, too, he has heard of. Some believe the forest of pages is alive, not in the way all forests are alive, but in a deeper, more conscious sense. That if you leave something behind, a verse, a sigh, a song, the forest may reply. He plucks a quiet melody on his lute, each note spaced wide apart, like stepping stones across a stream. Then he reaches into his satchel, removes a scrap of parchment, and writes, "I remember. I listen. I carry stories, even the ones too soft to speak." He tucks the parchment into a knot in the tree's roots. The earth accepts it, no sound, no shift, just a sense of acknowledgement. Then the breeze picks up. The leaves overhead flutter like applause heard from far away. The minstrel smiles again. He packs his things, he stands slowly, and once more he walks on. The forest thins eventually. Stone fences return. The scent of distant baking drifts through the air, fresh rye and roasted nuts. Ahead lies the next village, small rounded rooftops, blue smoke curling from a dozen chimneys. A dog asleep beside a sun-warmed door. But the minstrel doesn't go there yet, not straight away. He turns off the path toward a small side field, where tall grasses sway in slow motion, and one crooked fence post wears a crown of ivy. This is the old field, no longer farmed, no longer tilled. But once, long ago, a family lived here. Their house is gone now. Only a few foundation stones remain, but the village still remembers them with quiet affection. And every spring, children are brought here to plant bluebells in memory of a girl named Elswith, who once taught the village how to read, not with books, but with bread. Each loaf she baked contained a single carved letter, a crusted A, a soft, warm B, and so the children learned their letters, one bite at a time. The minstrel kneels in the grass. He finds a smooth stone, unmarked but set with care. He places his palm against it. "Thank you, Elswith," he whispers, and the wind smells faintly of flower. "You may feel your eyes growing heavy now, your body quiet, your breath smooth like polished wood. That's just the story nestling you into its arms." The minstrel hasn't reached the inn yet. He hasn't sung his evening song, but we are close. And before the stars return, before the last lantern is lit, He will tell a tale beside the hearth, a tale just for you. Rest your head gently now, as if laying it down on a pillow of sun-warmed heather. Let your breath match the rhythm of a quiet lute string, soft, steady, and slow. The minstrel's road curls onward, not hurried, not lost, just unfolding, like a story spoken under candlelight. The village is named Bywater Hollow, though there's no map that shows it, and no milestone that points the way. It's the kind of place you only find when you're not trying to tuck at the bend of a stream so clear it reflects starlight even at midday. The minstrel crosses a wooden footbridge, its planks worn soft by generations of careful feet. A carved fox peers out from one of the posts, a good luck charm placed by a boy named Bram nearly 80 years ago. Villagers say that if you touch the fox's nose before sundown, you'll never lose your way in fog. The minstrel does, gently, then continues toward the cluster of cottages that rise like buttered scones from the earth. Children's laughter drifts on the breeze. Someone is turning a wheel at the well, and near the edge of the village, a tabby cat stretches in a patch of dappled sunlight, as if to say, time is slower here. Let it be. The inn is just ahead, small, stone, crowned in vines. A painted sign sways on a creaky chain, the quiet lantern. Inside, it smells of thyme and smoke. The floors are uneven. The windows bloom with lace curtains, and a fire glows low in the hearth. No one calls out. There is no rush, only welcome. The innkeeper nods at the minstrel, as if they've spoken 100 times, though they may have never met. He gestures to the corner by the hearth, where a single stool waits, and beside it a mug of warm honeyed milk. The minstrel sits, the fire pops, and the room leans in. This is the moment his songs are meant for, not the noisy taverns of great cities, not the courts of lords, but here, where tired hands rest and hearts open like windows at spring. But tonight he doesn't strum his lute, he simply speaks. And what he tells is not a ballad of kings, or knights or war. It is the tale of Isla the Bell Watcher. Long ago, he begins, when most bells were forged for war or worship, there was a small coastal village where a bell was made for listening. He speaks gently, his voice barely louder than the fire's crackle. Each word is drawn out like a thread through cloth. He tells how Isla, a girl of no great rank, was entrusted with a single task, to watch the bell tower each morning and each dusk. The bell had no clapper. It made no sound of its own. But the villagers believed, if ever a soul was lost at sea and longed to return, the wind would ring the bell with a sound only Isla could hear. She heard it once, only once. On a stormless dawn, when the tide was shy and the gulls were still, she lit a lantern and placed it at the tower's edge. By sunset, a fisherman's boat drifted to shore, untouched by oar, but filled with the scent of lavender and salt. No one was aboard, yet everyone felt somehow a farewell had found its way home. The room is silent now. Even the fire seems to have hushed. The minstrel lowers his gaze. He touches the edge of his lute, but still does not play. Some stories, he whispers, are not for singing. They are for keeping, for carrying like coals in a wrap of cloth to warm the heart when no fire burns nearby. A breath moves through the room, not a sigh, more like the turning of a page. Then the innkeeper clears his throat and brings the minstrel a bowl of soup. Thick, fragrant, and steaming just enough to make the windows fog at their corners. He eats slowly. Outside, the last of the light folds itself behind the hills. Inside, sleep presses softly into every corner of the inn. And if you were there, just there, curled beside the hearth, you might feel it, too. A deep warmth. A hush that hums without sound. The quiet that only comes after a story has landed in the soul. Drift now. Drift with him. The road is not yet done, but the night is kind. And in this moment, there is nothing more to do than close your eyes and dream the rest of Isla's bell. Let's walk further slowly, sleepily on velvet footsteps, through the hush of old lands and quiet memory. Let your eyes grow soft with the fire's afterglow. Let the world slip just slightly out of focus as the story folds around you like a quilt stitched from breath, bread, and stars. That night, beneath the timber-bird roof of the quiet lantern, the minstrel sleeps without dreams. The kind of sleep that feels like floating, soft, weightless, as if cradled in the palm of something much older than time. Outside, the rain begins, not with thunder, not with wind, just a slow tapping, like fingertips drumming on parchment. It drums on thatched roofs, on forgotten shutters, on the backs of leaves. It is not the kind of rain that calls for shelter, but the kind that makes every blanket warmer, every breath deeper. When morning comes, it brings the scent of wet stone and rosemary. The village stirs gently. Carts creak. Bread rises in open ovens, and from somewhere far off a bell rings once. And once only the minstrel is already awake. He rises without hurry, washes his face in a basin of lavender water, ties his satchel, and thanks the innkeeper with a nod. But before he leaves, he presses something into the innkeeper's hand. A small silver pin, shaped like a fox's head, a token, a thank you, a charm for keeping. Then, once more, he steps into the soft breath of the road. This time, the path he takes is older. It cuts between two hills and curves toward a hollow where no map dares draw lines. Here lies the meadow of unburied songs. It's not a cemetery. Not exactly. There are no headstones, no flowers. Only tall grass and the rustle of wind that never moves in quite the same direction twice. Long ago, minstrels came here to leave behind melodies they could no longer carry, songs too sad, too heavy, or too bright for this world. They say if you stand in the meadow at dusk and listen with your eyes closed, you can hear bits of forgotten lullabies woven into the breeze. The minstrel does not sing here. He hums, once, but the note vanishes so quickly it feels more like breathing. Instead, he kneels in the grass and removes a small book from his satchel. Worn leather, frayed corners, pages yellowed by time and handling. Inside are not songs, not exactly, but beginnings. The first lines of stories never finished, some written by others, some by the minstrel himself, all waiting. He reads a few aloud, just softly. There was once a baker who could see people's dreams in the bubbles of her rising dough. At the bottom of the well behind the chapel, someone left a sealed jar labeled Tuesday. The knight never returned from the wood, but his shadow still visits the garden gate each morning. Each fragment is like a match held briefly in the dark. He closes the book, ties a ribbon around it, and buries it gently beneath a cairn of smooth stones, beside a patch of sage. Some songs are meant to be heard. Some are meant to be let go. The sky begins to clear, and through a break in the clouds, the sun pours down like honey through lace. The minstrel follows a ribbon of road lined with larkspur and thyme. He eats a bit of bread from his satchel, still soft, still warm from the morning fire at the inn, and he drinks from a spring that trickles beside the road where someone long ago carved the words. Drink gently. The water remembers. Soon in the distance a tall spire appears, half covered in ivy, half lost to time. This is the Tower of Second Names, not a castle, not a fort, but a place where those who wished could leave their given names behind and take on new ones for a new life. A tradition born from old beliefs that names carry stories, and sometimes you must begin a new chapter, The minstrel doesn't go inside. He simply stands at the gate and traces the old carvings on the stone. Here I became Marin. Here I chose to be Rowan. Here I left my silence and became song. He bows his head, not in prayer, but in gratitude for all the lives people have dared to begin again. Then he reaches into his satchel and places a folded note beneath the gate's stone lip. No name, only words, "I carry yours with care." And once more he walks on. The sun dips lower. A golden hush settles over the hills, and as the path curls toward a grove of silver-barked trees, the minstrel begins to hum again. A lullaby with no words, no origin, only feeling. It trails behind him like the tail of a falling star, bright, brief, and endlessly gentle. And you are still with him. Eyes half closed, mind wrapped in the hush of meadows, towers, and song. Let this quiet stay with you now. Let it nestle just behind your thoughts. Let it rock you like a cradle carved from old oak and moonlight. There is more to the journey, but for now you may rest a little deeper, and let the minstrel walk just ahead, his voice softly calling the next dream into shape. Of course, let the hush settle even deeper now, like dew on moss, like lantern light on still water. You are wrapped in twilight's gentlest cloak. The story flows on, not in a rush, but in the slow rhythm of candle wax dripping, or a cat's breath while dreaming. The minstrel walks beside the grove of silver-barked trees, their limbs curved like quiet dancers frozen mid-twirl. Each leaf catches the sun's last light, tiny mirrors of gold and green fluttering in the hush of evening. This is the edge of the woven hollow, a glade once believed to be stitched between the world of waking and the world of sleep. In the oldest times, weavers would come here, not to spin thread, but to dream their next pattern into being. They called it dream weaving, though no loom was present, no wool nor flax. Instead, they'd sit in silence among the trees and let the wind show them visions of distant loves, of unborn songs, of old regrets in need of mending. Some claimed they saw the faces of future grandchildren dancing in the dappled light. Others said the trees whispered their forgotten names. The minstrel pauses, not to dream but to listen, and in that stillness you might feel it too. A soft flicker in the mind, like a breeze through a curtain. Not words, not images, just the gentle brushing of something kind. He kneels by a root twisted into a shape resembling a heart cradled in a hand. From his satchel he takes a single length of violet thread and ties it carefully around the root. No spell, no ceremony, just a simple honoring for all dreams not spoken, but still felt. As night settles over the land like a velvet sheet, the minstrel follows a moonlit trail lined with fireflies. They blink in soft rhythm, as if keeping time with his steps. Up ahead, a structure begins to take shape. Not a castle, not a home, but a waypost. In medieval times, travelers called them listening stones. They weren't just markers, they were places of rest, built along pilgrimage paths to hold stories too weary to be carried. Stone benches, low walls, and at the center a tall slab etched with words from 100 hands. The minstrel steps into the circle of stones, and the fireflies follow, forming a quiet constellation around him. He lowers himself onto one of the benches and removes a folded scrap of parchment from his coat. On it, a stanza, half finished. Under stars too shy to shine, I left my name beside the pine. He smiles softly, not because it's clever, but because it remembers him. He places the parchment beneath a smooth rock, among others just like it, crumbled poems, fragments of love letters, sketches of birds and forgotten faces. Some left centuries ago, some just last week. This is how the waypost speaks, not aloud, but through the gathered weight of whispers. And if you close your eyes, as the minstrel does now, you might hear them. Soft stories telling each other, you are not alone. The moon lifts higher. Silver light bathes the land in a hush too sacred to name. The minstrel rests a while longer, his hands curled around a warm stone, still breathing in the day's sun. When he finally stands, he leaves behind a small pouch filled with lavender, a lock of chestnut hair, and a sliver of copper shaped like a crescent. Offerings, not to gods, but to memory. He walks on. The path narrows, then opens like a sigh onto a meadow filled with night flowers, moonwort, evening primrose, and dreaming daisies. Their petals open only in starlight, as if the sky had whispered, now. The minstrel's steps are slow, and you walk with him, drifting further from the ticking of clocks and deeper into the gentle pulse of stillness. At the meadow's far edge stands a tiny chapel. No doors, no roof, only 4 stone pillars and a bell that never rings. This is the chapel of the listening silence. Long ago, villagers came here not to ask, but to receive. They believed that the silence here was not empty, but full of answers too soft for words. The minstrel enters, and for a moment there is only breath and heartbeat and stars. He closes his eyes, and just then a breeze moved through the chapel, not cold, not urgent, just present. It brushes his face like a mother smoothing a child's hair. He smiles, because here even the silence feels like a song. And now, dear listener, you may drift even deeper, your breath slow, your thoughts quiet, your heart tucked gently into this soft velvet tale. The minstrel will continue walking, and when you're ready, his story will be here again, waiting to wrap you up like wool warmed by firelight. Let the hush linger soft as snow on the eaves of a long-lost cottage. Let each breath take you deeper, not down, but inward, into the stillness where dreams grow like ivy on stone. Beyond the chapel, a new road unfurls. Barely a road at all, more a memory of footsteps worn into the earth. The minstrel follows it with the patience of someone who knows that every pause has its purpose. The path threads gently through ancient farmland, now gone wild. Wheat once grew here, and barley too. But time has turned the furrows into soft rolling mounds, where foxes curl to sleep and skylarks rise with the morning hush. He passes a crumbling stone wall, half swallowed by moss, and stops at a low wooden gate, tied, closed with an old bit of string. The gate groans as he opens it, not from age alone, but from memory. For this place, this quiet, overgrown pasture, was once known as the Field of the 9 Lanterns. In the late Middle Ages, villagers would place 9 lanterns here during the longest night of the year, one for each of the virtues they hoped to grow by spring: mercy, courage, wisdom, patience, joy, generosity, wonder, kindness, and quietude. They believed the lantern light would warm the seeds beneath the earth, not crops, but the seeds of selves, the kind that blossomed slowly inside the heart. The tradition is long gone now, but the field remembers. As the minstrel walks through it, he sees tiny firelights begin to glow, not from lanterns, not from hands, but from clusters of wild mushrooms whose caps gleam with an eerie, tender light. Foxfire, phosphorescence, a natural wonder the old folk once believed was a lantern light of kindly spirits tending the soil. He walks slowly, bowing his head to each glowing patch, and as he passes, the soft luminescence seems to pulse, as if nodding back. Past the field, the air grows cooler, not cold, just brushed with the blue of midnight. The minstrel pulls his cloak tighter and reaches the edge of a stream. its surface a mirror for the shy stars above. He crosses it by stepping stones, rounded smooth by time and marked with faint carvings, old languages, worn prayers, little wishes. The final stone bears the shape of a handprint, child-sized, but etched with astonishing care. He kneels to touch it, and for a moment the world holds its breath. Then the wind picks up again, rustling the reeds, and the spell of silence releases. He crosses to the far side, and there, nestled in the roots of a gnarled elm, waits an object no one should ever find by chance, a traveling bell. Used in medieval times by wandering friars and midwives, these small brass bells were rung to signal that a helper was passing through. 1 ring meant, "I come in peace." 2 rings meant, "I carry news." 3 rings meant, "Come quickly." The minstrel picks it up. It's not his. He does not ring it. Instead, he tucks it gently into a fold of his cloak, a sound for another time. Night deepens. Not darker, just quieter, like a cat settling in at the foot of the bed. The stars now shimmer through the canopy as the path narrows again into a winding stretch called the Whispering Cut. It is named not for danger, but for its voice, a natural echo that turns even a cough into a chorus. In centuries past, bards tested their verses here, not for fame, but to see if their words could breathe. Some said the path was enchanted. Others said it simply listened more kindly than people did. The minstrel does not speak. Instead, he hums a low, wordless tune. A cradle song, perhaps, or maybe the echo of someone else's. The cut carries his hum down its stone-lined throat and feeds it back not louder, but warmer. And in that resonance you too begin to drift, not away, but gently inward, wrapped in a melody older than language and lighter than shadow. Just ahead, the path opens once more into a wide, still glade, known only as the meadow where bells are buried. It is said that long ago, when a bell cracked from overuse, from too much grief wrung into it, or too much joy, it was brought here and laid to rest in the earth. But they were never forgotten. In summer you can feel a soft vibration underfoot. Not a sound, but something like a heartbeat. Tonight the grass sways under the hush of stars. The minstrel stops here. He does not speak. He does not sing. He simply lowers himself to the ground, places both hands palm down into the damp earth, and listens. You feel it too now. A soft, low thrum just at the edge of perception, as if the bells beneath the soil are still ringing in dreams, not as alarms, but as lullabies, calling no one and everyone. And so you rest here too, no longer following but floating beside him. In this meadow, time folds like a quilt. The stars above blink slower. The air grows sweeter, and your breath finds its rhythm in the lull of soil and song. You are not leaving the world. You are simply resting in the softest part of it. Sleep may come now, not as an ending, but as a hand gently taking yours and saying, "Yes, you are safe." Let the hush deepen further still, like the folds of a velvet curtain drawn across the window of your thoughts. Let your breath be the only movement now, slow as a feather's descent, gentle as a bell's last sigh. Dawn is still far away, but the air carries a silver hush, the kind that only lives between the hours of the world and the hours of dreams. The minstrel rises slowly from the meadow, leaving behind no trace, only the warmth of where he sat, and the soft, unseen ringing beneath the earth. He walks now toward the east, where a gentle incline begins to rise, a slope covered in night-time and stone-crop, called the Heel of Breaths Unspoken. Here, long ago, a convent once stood, tended by nuns who had taken a vow of silence, not for penance, but to become keepers of quiet truths. People came from far villages not to confess, but to sit nearby and speak what they dared not say aloud anywhere else. The nuns would listen without reply, but it was said that their stillness carried a kind of healing, and when the convent fell to ruin, the hill remained. Even now, when the wind moved through the grass here, it sounds less like rustling, and more like listening. The minstrel kneels at the crest of the hill. He does not speak, but he takes a long breath in, and exhales a memory he does not need to carry anymore. It dissolves into the hush like a thread unspooling in water. As he continues, the sky above begins to shift, not brightening, but softening. A pale indigo stretches gently across the horizon as if the stars were being tucked away. Beneath a blanket of silk, ahead lies a cluster of stones arranged in a spiral pattern, a sleeping circle. Such formations once marked sites where traveling pilgrims could rest without fear. The stones were said to carry protective blessings, not from saints, but from the countless weary travelers who had sat there before, each one leaving behind a sigh, a wish, a warmth. The minstrel steps into the circle and sits among the stones. He removes his boots, places them neatly beside him, and presses his bare feet into the cool, smooth earth. He closes his eyes, and for a few moments he is no longer on a journey, but part of the quiet itself. Somewhere nearby an owl calls once, then again softer. The night is not empty, it's simply listening. The minstrel rises again, walking now beneath low-hanging branches. As he enters a stretch of woodland known to few as the forest of folded names. Centuries ago, when parchment was precious and ink was scarce, villagers wrote the names of their lost onto strips of bark. They folded the bark like letters, tied them with thread, and placed them high in the branches where wind and time could carry the memory into the sky. Some of those folded names still hang above, soft, papery curls of aged birch and willow fluttering gently with every breeze. A quiet archive of lives once lived. The minstrel pauses beneath one such offering. It spins slowly in the moonlight, its thread barely visible, and without touching it, he sings just a single wordless note. A tone so low, so soft, it feels more like an exhale than a melody, and the forest listens. Soon, he comes to a clearing where a shallow pool reflects the starlight. This is Starlun, well, a sacred spring believed to hold no water, only the reflection of whatever your heart longs for most. In the Middle Ages, travelers came here not to drink, but to see. They would kneel quietly, breathe slowly, and gaze into the pool until it showed not their face, but a vision, sometimes clear, sometimes not. What they saw was theirs alone to understand. The minstrel kneels now at its edge, and you, dear listener, may kneel beside him in your thoughts, letting the stillness wrap around you like the hush of snowfall. The pool stirs not from wind, but from memory. And what it shows, you needn't name it, just feel it. It is warm, it is soft, it is yours. As he stands, the sky begins to hint at the first promise of morning. A pale silver glow curls along the edge of the trees, and the stars, so patient all night, begin their gentle retreat. The minstrel places a hand over his heart, bows to the well, and whispers, "Thank you," but not to be heard, just to say it. You may feel your breath now a little slower, a little softer. You have walked far in this story, but your steps were never heavy. Just gentle echoes in a world meant for stillness. The minstrel walks on, and your dreams walk with him. Let your body melt deeper into stillness now, as if the story itself were tucking you in, a hush between two pages, a lullaby carried on moss and memory. Close your eyes a little more, and feel the quiet come alive. The minstrel follows a path made not of stone, but of old footprints, worn shallow in the earth, so faint they seem like echoes from a dream that once walked this land. This stretch is known only as the Pilgrim's Thread, a trail without signposts, but impossible to lose if you walk with stillness in your heart. Here, in the 12th century, travelers journeyed with no destination, believing the path itself would lead them to what they needed, not a shrine, not a saint, but a softening. Along the way, they left behind small offerings, woven bracelets, hand-carved buttons, and tiny bundles of dried mint wrapped in cloth. The minstrel stops by one such bundle, left beneath a hawthorn tree. The fabric is fraying, but the scent, oh, the scent, is sweet and cool, like a memory of spring rain. He adds his own offering beside it, a single note written in ink the color of fog, for all that asks nothing, and yet gives peace. He ties it gently to the lowest branch, then walks on. A gentle rise in the land appears ahead, not a hill, but a listening ridge, so named for the way wind curls over its crest, and seems to carry not just air, but words long gone. Shepherds once paused here, in the hush between day and dusk, claiming they could hear forgotten lullabies woven into the grass. It is said that those who rest atop the ridge wake knowing something they didn't know before, a dream, perhaps, or the last line of a song. The minstrel reaches the top and removes his lute, but he does not play. Not yet. He simply listens, as wind passes like a sigh across the strings, plucking a ghost melody, too soft to name. Then, without speaking, he sings, a tune made only of vowels, each note shaped like a cloud slipping across the sky. And down below, in the sleeping valleys, a flock of birds stirs in response, not startled, not rushed, just rising like breath. When his song fades, he lays the lute in the grass and rests beside it, and as he does, you rest too, not alone, not wandering, but with him here, in this quiet fold of the world that holds no burden, only being. In the early hours, mist begins to unfurl across the land, low and slow, like a memory curling back into its own dream. The minstrel rises as the sky begins to pale. The stars fade behind a thin veil of light, and dawn waits politely at the edge of things. Ahead, a copse of trees stands silhouetted in silver. He walks toward it, barely making a sound. The dew greets his boots like a blessing. This is the wishing wood, not a forest, not a grove, just a pocket of trees where hope once lingered so long that it settled into the bark. In medieval times, lovers came here to whisper their names into the hollows of trees, believing that if the trees held them, no war, sea, or sickness could part them. And travelers, those who had no names to pair, simply whispered wishes and tied scraps of ribbon or twine to the limbs of the trees. Most are faded now, weathered by decades of wind and rain. But some still flutter. The minstrel approaches a wide, low ash tree whose branches bow like old arms. He reaches into his satchel and removes a length of cloth, sky blue, stitched with a single gold thread down the middle. He ties it to the branch, his fingers careful, as if touching something that breathes. Then he whispers a wish. But you, dear dreamer, do not need to hear it. Some wishes are meant only for the wind. As the sky lightens to pearl, he continues through the trees until the scent of bread baking reaches him again, warm, yeasty, soft as memory. It draws him toward a small cottage set just beside a stream. Smoke curls from the chimney, and a stone path leads to the door, lined with lavender and sage. This is Hearthstone Hermitage, where once, it's said, a woman named Alira lived who never spoke a word but could cure sorrow with soup. No one ever saw her write, nor sing, nor pray. She simply ladled comfort into earthen bowls. The minstrel steps to the threshold. He doesn't knock. He simply sits on the bench by the door, where a carved wooden owl keeps watch. After a time, he finds a small loaf of bread wrapped in linen beside him, still warm, still whole. He smiles and places a smooth river stone in its place. A quiet thank you. Stone for bread. Balance now, gentle one, let yourself drift deeper. Let the hush be complete. You've walked far with him, and though the journey continues, this moment is still. Still like a pond kissed by starlight. Still like breath at the very edge of sleep. Close your eyes. There is more yet to come. Breathe gently now, as if the air itself were woven from lullabies. Let the hush settle across your thoughts, like a feather falling through candlelight, slow, soft, and certain. The road still curls ahead, but it asks nothing of you. You are simply here, listening and floating and dreaming with your eyes closed. The minstrel walks slowly now, cradling the small loaf of bread in both hands. It is still warm, still fragrant, and its weight feels like kindness, solid, but soft. He does not eat it yet. Not here, not alone. Ahead, the path bends through a grove of chestnut trees, and with each step the hush of the morning deepens. Mist gathers at ankle height, and the first rays of sun thread through the canopy, like threads of spun gold laid gently across the world. In the heart of this grove stands a round clearing ringed by stones, some cracked, some moss-covered, each carved with a word in an old, forgotten tongue. This is the circle of shared mornings. Long ago, it served as a meeting place for travelers of no fixed name or origin, wandering bakers, monks without monasteries, and those who simply carried songs instead of swords. Here, it was custom to place something warm at the center stone at dawn: bread, stew, cider, and wait to see who would join. The minstrel steps into the circle and places the loaf gently on the moss. Then he sits, quiet, open. Time does not pass here in minutes. It breathes. And after a while, soft as a page turning, another figure steps into the clearing. She carries a basket of apples. No words, just a nod. Then another arrives, a boy with soot-smudged sleeves, holding a pot of tea that smells faintly of nettle and honey. Then another, a woman with hair the color of dusk, cradling a folded cloth full of cheese and herbs. And together, without hurry, they sit. They break bread. And though no names are shared, there is no loneliness, only warmth. Only quiet, only the tender sounds of a shared meal, beneath a listening sky. When the meal is done, each person leaves something behind, not payment, but presence. A stone, a feather, a button, a piece of thread, a tune hummed softly, left hanging in the trees like a sleeping bird. And then they go, one by one, like stars blinking out as morning grows bold. The minstrel is the last to rise. He leaves behind a piece of parchment, folded into the shape of a lark. Inside is written a single phrase, "We were quiet together." He places it at the center stone, presses a hand to the moss, and moves on. The road beyond is flanked by heather and fern, and somewhere in the distance a stream sings its way through stones. He passes a thicket where bees hum gently in their hives, carved into old tree trunks by forgotten hands. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that bees must be told when someone died, so they could carry the soul gently into the next world. These hives, left untended for decades, still buzz with the quiet knowledge of lives remembered. The minstrel pauses, and in a voice like breath against velvet he says, "No one is forgotten," then walks on. Ahead lies a ridge with a single standing stone at its crown. It is weathered, tilted slightly westward, and covered in lichen. This is the stone of second sleep. An ancient belief once held that the night should be broken in two parts, the first sleep after dusk, and the second sleep after midnight. with a gentle waking in between, a time for prayer, quiet work, or stillness. Here, it was said, those between sleeps would climb the hill and sit beside the stone, watching the stars, whispering secrets, or simply breathing. The minstrel does the same. Though dawn now kisses the sky's edge, he closes his eyes and leans against the stone, not to sleep, but to rest in between. That in-between place, not waking, not dreaming, just being. And as he rests, you may do the same. Let your limbs grow heavier. Let your breath feather out. Let the hush hold you gently between the story's notes. When he rises, the sun has crested the farthest hills, spilling gold across the land like warm butter. He turns east once more toward the sound of hooves in the far distance, and the faint outline of a bridge built from bone-white stone. That, dear dreamer, is the bridge of unwritten songs. But the tale will wait. For now you rest here, in this soft space between silence and story, between night and morning, between all that was and all still to come. Now let your breath lengthen like a silk ribbon drawn through water. Let each word arrive slower, softer, as if the story is being spoken from within a dream or just beyond it. The hush has settled. You are held within it, wrapped in moss, blanketed by old warmth, listening not just with ears, but with the calm space behind your eyes. The minstrel walks along a ridge now, light pooling at his shoulders, casting shadows like gentle ghosts behind his every step. Below, the valley breathes. Farms blink awake. A rooster crows once, not sharply, but as if yawning. Ahead, the bridge of unwritten songs comes fully into view. It's not grand, not towering, just long, arched gently over a thin stream that glistens with the colors of polished silver. Its stones are pale, worn smooth by centuries of soft footfalls. But the real wonder lies beneath, for when the wind is just right, and the stream flows gently over its pebbled bed, you can hear music, not played, not sung, but held. The legend says that bards who passed without recording their songs, whose melodies were lost to time, had them carried here by wind and water. Some say the songs are stored in the echo of the arch. Others believe the stream remembers them. The minstrel removes his boots, steps onto the bridge barefoot, and lets his soles feel every worn stone, every lichened patch, every whisper. As he crosses, a low melody seems to rise, soft as morning mist through reeds. He pauses halfway, closes his eyes, listens. A melody comes, faint, unfinished, and yet familiar. He doesn't try to capture it. He only bows his head. Some songs are meant to be kept by the stream. On the far side of the bridge, a grove of willows leans toward the bank. Their branches trail the water's surface like fingers brushing a sleeping face. This is called the willow choir. In springtime, their leaves sing, a high fluted rustle that sounds like voices in the next room. Old folk believed that willows could carry sorrow for you, not take it away, but hold it gently until you could breathe again. The minstrel walks beneath them. The branches part like curtains, and he places one hand upon the largest trunk. There's a softness here, not in texture, but in spirit, as if the tree leans back slightly into the touch. He does not cry, but he lets go of something heavy, and the ground seems to sigh beneath his feet. The road begins again on the other side of the grove, a path of cobblestones barely held together by time and time. It winds upward now into the foothills where a low mist hangs like wool from a weaver's frame. There, perched on a sloped field of clover, stands a low, round house made of honey-colored stone. This is the house that keeps no time. There is no clock, no sundial, no hourglass. For in the ancient traditions of traveling monks, some spaces were made to escape time completely. A moment here doesn't pass. It simply lingers, stretching out like light through stained glass. The minstrel steps to the door, which is already open. Inside, a fire burns low. A kettle simmers. 2 mugs rest beside a dish of stewed plums. No one appears, but someone has been here. Someone has prepared this space for whoever may need it next. The minstrel steps inside, removes his cloak, and sits. He sips the tea, spiced with fennel, rose hips, and a curl of orange peel. And everything slows. Not stops, just slows. The fire flickers once, then curls itself lower. The warmth seeps into the stone, into his bones, into yours. For here, you too may sit. You may rest without rush. You may soften without guilt. You may simply be. Outside, time drifts around the house like fog around a lantern. Inside, the minstrel removes a bundle from his satchel, a roll of parchment, bound in velvet cord. He unrolls it across the table, and there, drawn not in ink, but in pale mineral dust pressed into the page, is a map, not of roads, not of cities, but of feelings. One hill drawn in the shape of a promise, a river winding like forgiveness, a valley shaded the color of a farewell not yet spoken. He adds a mark to it, a new circle, a place not yet named, then rolls the parchment again and tucks it away. The fire has gone low. His cup is empty. It is time. As he steps back outside, the sun is warm but low. The sky a blanket of soft lavender and blush. And behind him, the house that keeps no time fades gently into the fog again, waiting for the next quiet traveler. You may feel a weight lifting from your shoulders now. Something old, something you never needed to carry this far. Let it stay in that house. The one outside time, the one that welcomes you without asking who you are. The minstrel continues down the hill, into a valley kissed by bees and light. And still you follow, no longer walking, but drifting beside him like a shadow made of silk. There is more yet to see, but the pace grows slower still, because you are nearly asleep now, and this story, it will hold you gently, even when your eyes fully close. Let the hush deepen like twilight over distant hills. The story no longer walks, it floats. Each word a feather, each sentence a breeze, settling softly around your thoughts until there's nothing left but peace. You are safe in the stillness, safe in the soft fold of this tale. The minstrel walks through the valley now, where bees hum in clover-dappled meadows, and the grasses move like sighs beneath the sky. Every step is unhurried, not because he is tired, but because some places ask to be passed through gently. This is the Valley of Candlewind, so named not for its light, but for the way the breeze moves, flickering like a flame, never sharp, never loud. In the Middle Ages, herbalists came here to dry their leaves in peace. They believed that when thyme or marjoram rustled in the candlewind, it absorbed a kind of calm that made it healing for broken hearts. The minstrel pauses to run his fingers through the mint-colored stems. They bow to his touch, as if recognizing someone who listens. He hums again, low and breathy, barely more than a vibration in the air. And somewhere behind him a finch joins the melody, not in mimicry, but in harmony. Further on, the path narrows between 2 stone walls, each one layered with thyme. Lichen, ivy, and the occasional patch of soft moss like velvet pressed against the world. He walks through the pass, arriving at a hill shaped like a cradle. At its crest stands an old tower round, short, and worn by weather into a soft blur. This is the watchtower of gentle ends. It once served as a lookout during long-forgotten wars, but in later years it became a place where those nearing the end of their lives would come to say farewell to the sky. No guards, no gates, just a bench inside and a window facing east. where morning always arrives, the minstrel enters the tower. Dust spins through sunbeams. Time feels slow again. He finds the bench, sits, and closes his eyes, not to sleep, not to wait, but simply to be, to feel the peace that lingers in a place where many once whispered their last thoughts into the dawn. Some left letters scratched into the stone walls. One reads, "I go not into darkness, but into hush." He touches it with his fingertips, and the hush answers back. Outside, the air begins to shift, not colder, but clearer, a sign that the day is turning, the world moving gently toward the next quiet thing. The minstrel exits the tower and begins the descent along a slope paved with river stones. They shine faintly in the sunlight, each one a different muted hue: slate blue, moss green, soft umber. He comes to a low brook, and there, beside a half-toppled cairn, sits an old wooden chest, unlatched. Inside, not treasure, not gold, but dozens of folded pieces of parchment, each sealed with a different mark. This is the box of sleeping questions. According to tale, medieval scribes who found themselves with questions too large to answer would write them down and place them here, in hopes that time or dreams would someday offer a reply. The minstrel removes a small slip of parchment from his satchel, writes something with the stub of a graphite stick, folds it slowly, and leaves it in the box. The wind catches the edge of the parchment pile, but does not scatter them. Questions know how to wait. A little further on, he reaches the shore of a wide, shallow lake, so still it reflects the clouds without a single ripple. This is Lake Everquite. It is said that if you whisper into its surface, the lake will hold your words until nightfall, then carry them across the water to someone you miss. Even if they're not here anymore, even if you don't know who they are yet. The minstrel kneels at the edge, places his hands in the water. It is cool, not cold, soft as silk wrapped in memory. He whispers, "Not for you to hear, only the lake." And in response, a single reed in the center of the water sways, though no wind touches it. Perhaps that's all the reply needs to be. The sun begins to dip low again, casting the land in a honey-colored glow that turns every blade of grass into a brush-stroke of gold. The minstrel follows the shoreline to a field of tall grass and slow butterflies. There, nestled between two hills, stands a wooden doorframe, no house, just a door. This is the threshold of returning. In a forgotten age, people would walk through the frame before leaving on long journeys, believing that by passing through a door, they would always find their way home. No magic, just intention. The minstrel stands before it. You, too, may imagine standing there, feet in the grass, wind at your back, one hand on the frame's sun-warmed edge. And as you step through, yes, you feel a promise settle into your bones. You can always return to yourself, to peace, to the place inside stories where everything waits with soft arms open. Now night begins its second blooming, not sudden, not dark, just deeper, calmer, a drawing in. And you, dear listener, float here now, closer to sleep than to waking, closer to dreams than to the day. The minstrel lights a small lantern as the stars return. Their light is older than words, but they know your name. They always have. Let your breath settle again, soft and silent, like dew forming on the edges of a leaf. The world outside has gone quiet, and now the only sound is the gentle rhythm of the story as it moves like a river through a moonlit field. You are safe here, cradled in the hush between starlight and sleep. The minstrel walks by lantern glow now, his light flickering across tree trunks and catching in spider webs like strands of silver thread. The path ahead leads into a wood so old it carries its own kind of gravity. The air is thicker, the quiet deeper, As if the forest itself remembers more than it can say, this is the grove of unfinished endings. In the age of parchment and quill, scribes would come here when their stories faltered. They'd sit beneath the ancient oaks, listening to the wind, waiting for endings to reveal themselves, not through logic, not through plot, but through feeling. Some stayed only a night. Others never left, content to let their tales remain open, like doors left ajar for starlight to slip through. The minstrel pauses at the base of a wide old tree, whose bark peels in soft curls, each layer releasing the scent of rain-soaked books. He places one hand to the trunk, and the tree is still, not cold, just deeply resting. He whispers, not an ending, but a hope, and the leaves above rustle once then fall, still, not in answer, but in agreement. He moves on, past hollow logs that gleam faintly with foxfire, and stones that bear faint symbols etched by hands long gone. The path opens now into a field of wild chamomile, their white petals turned upward like quiet faces. This is called the Meadow of Forgotten Names. Once, it served as a resting ground for those who had no family to speak for them. Soldiers lost without record, villagers unnamed, leaves quietly closed. The monks who tended this place never tried to give new names. Instead, they whispered blessings into the soil. You were here. You were real. You mattered. The minstrel walks slowly, each step a soft remembrance. He kneels, plucks a single bloom, and tucks it behind his ear, a gesture of thanks to those who came before and still rest beneath the earth. At the far edge of the field stands a stone stairway carved into the hill. The steps are uneven, worn by time, but each one leads upward with a gentle tilt toward the stars. This is the stair of gentle hours. It leads not to a tower, but to a small platform open to the night, a place for quiet watching. In the time of harvest, village elders would climb here to mark the change of season and name the stars aloud, believing that speaking their light made the world more certain. The minstrel climbs now, each step marked by breath and silence. At the top he finds a low bench and a circle of unlit lanterns. He takes one, lights it, and sets it beside him, then sits and waits. Not for anything in particular, just to be part of the sky for a while. You may sit beside him here, feel the hush deepen. Let your shoulders grow heavy. Let your thoughts loosen like knots untied in sleep. The stars above blink slowly, and one by one the other lanterns, though untouched, begin to glow, as if remembering something soft and sacred. In time he descends the steps again, lantern in hand, and the ground greets him like an old friend. He walks now into a small dell, where fireflies dance among reeds, and the air tastes faintly of lavender and loam. At the center of this dell is a structure of simple stones, flat-topped, low to the earth, shaped like a bed or a long table. This is the altar of quiet meals. Centuries ago, when families could not afford proper burials, they would gather here to share one last supper in honor of the departed. But rather than speak of sorrow, they would tell stories, light candles, and leave behind bits of food, for whatever spirits might still linger nearby. A crust of bread, a slice of pear, a drop of honey. The minstrel kneels and unwraps the final piece of the bread he's carried all this way. He breaks it in half. One piece he places gently on the stone. The other he eats slowly, eyes closed, grateful. The taste is simple, earthy, warming. It carries not just nourishment, but memory of the house where it was made, of the woman who left it for him, of all the quiet kindnesses that don't need words. And now he curls beside the altar, not in prayer, not in sleep, just in stillness. The lantern flickers low beside him, casting soft light across your own closed eyelids. For here, In this gentle dell, lit only by fireflies and memory, you rest too. Let go now. Let your breath soften. Let your body disappear into comfort. Let yourself sink now as if the earth were gently cupping your weight, and the story were a lullaby woven into every breath you take. There's no need to think. No need to hold on. You are carried now, not by plot, but by peace. Each word is a hand smoothing your hair. Each pause is silence meant only to make you feel safe. The lantern dims but does not go out. Its light is soft now, not to guide the way, but simply to say, I am still with you. The minstrel stirs from his resting place beside the altar, rises slowly, and wraps his cloak tighter as the night deepens. He walks with the stillness of one who knows the path in his bones. Even the air seems to part for him, quietly, as though it remembers. Ahead lies a grove with stones arranged in a spiral. Each stone bears a single carved word. Most are in languages no longer spoken, but their shapes feel familiar, like dreams you once had as a child but forgot how to tell. This is the spiral of remembering. Medieval wanderers, before setting out on long pilgrimages, would walk this spiral slowly, not to seek direction, but to forget everything they didn't need to carry. It is said that by the time they reached the center, only what truly mattered remained. The minstrel begins his walk, step by step, one circle deeper, then another. You, too, may walk beside him in your mind. No shoes, no burden, just the rhythm of your breath matching each silent step. And as you reach the center with him, you feel it, lighter, clearer, like something inside you has unknotted, without ever needing a name. From the spiral, he takes a narrow trail lined with bellflowers and pale blue flax. Their petals glow faintly in the moonlight, the effect of a dew called silver vine, used by monks to track the hours of prayer before dawn. Each time the dew touched a new ring of petals, they would kneel, not out of duty, but to listen. The minstrel kneels here now, not to pray, not to speak, just to listen. The air is so quiet, you can hear the sound of your own thoughts slowing down, like a stream running out of stones. He smiles and stands again. A little further on, nestled beneath the twisted boughs of an ancient hawthorn, rests a low, square stone well. Its surface is carved with circular patterns, repeating endlessly like ripples on still water. This is the well of earthen dreams. In an age before ink, scribes sometimes carved their thoughts into clay tablets and lowered them into sacred wells, hoping the water would soften sharp griefs into gentler truths. Some dreams sank, others floated, but all were held. The minstrel peers into the well. No reflection, only depth. He hums a single note, long, low, like breath wrapped in velvet, and the well hums back, softly, almost like agreement. As the sky turns deeper blue, a faint ribbon of mist curls ahead, guiding him toward a clearing shaped like a crescent moon. Here wild daisies and violets bloom regardless of season, as if time forgets to move inside this crescent. At its heart stands a weathered bench and a stone plaque marked, Seat of the Soul's Lantern. It's said that, long ago, a traveler once lost everything, name, memory, and path. But when they sat here, they remembered something small but pure, the sound of their mother's voice humming, the feel of warm cloth after a rain, the taste of bread given freely. These tiny pieces became their lantern, and with it they found their way again. The minstrel sits here now, lantern at his side, back straight, face turned toward the sky. He doesn't try to remember anything. He just lets memory find him. And in your own stillness, perhaps something finds you too. Not loud, not bright, just a feeling that you are exactly where you're meant to be. The moon begins to rise now. Its light softens the edges of the world, casting silver over everything, like dust spilled from a forgotten spell. The minstrel rises again, his lantern glowing low. Ahead, a wooden archway marks the edge of the final trail for tonight. Carved into it, you are nearly home. You are too. Let that settle into your breath. Let it wrap around your spine. Let it cradle you. There's no hurry to reach the end. This story walks with you, not in front of you. It waits when you sleep. It steps only when you do. And now, dear dreamer, your steps are slowing, your breath deeper, your heart quieter. You are nearly at the place where the story becomes sleep. Close your eyes fully now. Let the world grow quiet as snowfall, and feel the story surround you, not just in sound, but in softness. You are in the hush beneath thought, where words no longer ask to be heard, only felt. The wooden archway creaks softly as the minstrel passes beneath it, as if recognizing his steps, as if bowing. The path ahead narrows into a glade where moonlight pools like milk. No shadows here, only light soft and into silver, gentle and full. This is the glade of lantern roots, where trees grow not toward the sky but toward the earth. Their branches curve downward. Their leaves shimmer faintly, and from their roots small lanterns grow, delicate pods of pale green light suspended just above the moss. In medieval folklore, this glade was believed to grow at the edge of dreams. Monks who wandered here would write down the names of their fears on slips of vellum and bury them among the roots, so the lanterns could carry them downward, not to be erased, but to be gently held until they no longer burned. The minstrel removes a small paper from his satchel. He writes not a fear, but a word, still, then kneels, and buries it softly between two glowing roots. The light above it pulses once, then settles. You may do the same, if you wish. Let something go. Let it sink. Let the lantern roots hold it so you don't have to. Beyond the glade lies a wide clearing dotted with smooth, round stones that look like they've been kissed into shape by 1,000 seasons. This is a field of listening stones. They do not speak. They do not echo. They simply receive. Villagers once came here after long days, long silences, or long sorrows. They would lay flat on the stones, speak softly to the sky, and believe not in reply, but in release. The minstrel chooses one, low and warm from holding the sun's memory. He lies back, arms loose at his sides, eyes open to the endless hush above. He doesn't speak, and still the stone listens. You too can lie here now, not moving, not needing, just being heard even if no words pass your lips, just resting, even if your heart still holds many things. The wind moves like silk, the stars breathe slowly. You are here, and that is enough. When the minstrel rises, his steps are slower still, not tired, just softened. The next path is lined with hanging bells made of clay. No wind moves them, yet they ring faintly, as if chiming with your breath. This is called the Passage of Sleeping Bells, a corridor once walked by healers who believed each step here cleared the mind like smoke, leaving a window. The bells ring once for each unspoken thought, not to chase it away, but to honor it and then let it drift. As the minstrel walks, he lowers his head slightly. The bells ring in uneven intervals, soft and crooked, like a lullaby played on old strings, and gradually they fall silent, one by one, until only the sound of footsteps remains, and even those fade. At the path's end stands a wide wooden door set into a hill, half covered in ivy and night. There is no handle, no key, just a word carved into the lintel above. Welcome. This is the entrance to the house of rest without reason. A place for those who need no justification to pause, no explanation, no productivity. Just a roof, a fire, and silence shared with those who are also gently unwinding. The minstrel steps inside, you follow, soft as a shadow. The room is circular, lined with woolen mats and low shelves filled with jars, each containing the scent of somewhere else. Pine needles, warmed cider, old pages, sea wind. A fire burns low in the center hearth. Its crackle is lazy content. The minstrel removes his boots, sets down his lantern, and curls into a patch of thick, woven rugs. You find a spot beside him, or across the room, wherever feels safest. There is no conversation here, only permission to rest, to breathe, to let go. You may drift now, without pushing, without trying. The story has become a room, and that room is holding you. Let go a little more now. Let each breath melt into the next like warm wax, slow, soft, and sweetly scentless. You are no longer reading a story. You are inside it. And the story? It only wants you to rest. The house of rest without reason breathes around you. Its wooden beams creak gently, not from age, but from memory, as though it has held 1,000 weary souls and remembers how each one settled. In the center of the hearth, the fire sighs, not hungry, not wild, just content. The minstrel curls deeper into the pile of woven rugs, his fingers brushing the fringe, as though following a rhythm only sleep can hear. On a nearby shelf, small clay bowls hold dried herbs, lavender, lemon balm, chamomile, valerian. In the medieval world, herbalists believed each of these plants held more than medicine. They believed they remembered dreams and could carry the memory of a good night's rest from one soul to another, like a whisper passed between pillows. A bundle of dried sprigs hangs above the hearth. The warmth releases their scent, and the room becomes a garden in candlelight. On the far side of the room, a narrow staircase leads upward, not steep, just winding like ivy. The minstrel rises quietly and climbs the stairs with slow steps, each tread muffled by old wool. You follow behind, floating more than walking now as the hush deepens. At the top, a door carved with gentle swirls swings open without a sound, and beyond it lies the room of slow stars. Its ceiling is open to the sky, but the chill does not reach you. Instead, the stars seem closer here, like they've drawn nearer just to keep you company. Pale cushions and folded quilts line the room, each one hand-stitched, each corner heavy with stories told long ago and told again. The minstrel chooses a cushion beside a low window, where the wind sings quietly through a screen of herbs drying in the moonlight. He lies down, folds his cloak over his chest, closes his eyes. You do too, don't you? How could you not? The stillness is so gentle, it carries even your thoughts to bed. Above, a single shooting star crosses the sky, then another, and another, as if the stars themselves are descending one by one to whisper something only your heart can hear. This was once a custom in ancient abbeys, to lie beneath the stars at least once a month and say nothing at all. Just breathe, just be. The monks believed it cleared the soul, not purified, just made space for dreams to bloom. You are blooming now in the soft way that sleep does. You do not need to try. You do not need to understand. You are already drifting. Outside, wind moves through a line of old trees. Their branches make a sound like lace brushing over parchment. Somewhere in the valley below, an owl calls once, then is still. You don't need to follow the story anymore. It knows where to go. It will walk the rest of the way so you don't have to. And so, in this room made of night and hush, beneath a ceiling of forgiving stars, you and the minstrel rest. The story doesn't end. It simply becomes slower and slower until it folds itself around you like a woolen quilt warmed by breath. Take one last breath in, slow and deep, as if you were inhaling the quiet itself. Now exhale and feel yourself soften like candlelight just before it flickers out. You are not awake, not quite asleep, but you are exactly where you need to be, carried by the hush of the tale, rocked gently in its arms. Morning begins not with light, but with the quiet shift of air, a change in texture, a subtle turning, like the world is rolling over in its sleep. In the room of slow stars, the sky is pale now, a soft linen blue, the kind worn thin by decades of kind mornings. The minstrel stirs only slightly, not to wake, but to notice the light, and so do you, eyes half-lidded. You feel the weight of rest still holding you down, but no longer pinning you, just covering you like a second skin made of stillness. There is no hurry. There never was. Below, in the hearth room, the fire has become a pile of warm embers. A kettle waits above them, gently steaming with the scent of spiced barley water and crushed mint. On the table rests a small wooden tray, a single bowl of porridge, topped with a swirl of honey and 3 candied rose petals. It was left by someone unseen, or maybe left by time itself. In medieval inns, it was once tradition to offer a first meal to those who'd walked a long road, not out of courtesy, but recognition, because the traveler wasn't expected to speak yet. They had carried enough. The minstrel eats slowly. No words, just warmth and presence. A window creaks open on its own, letting in the morning air, heavy with the scent of wet leaves and distant baking bread. The village is waking somewhere below. But here, in this house beyond reason, you are allowed to linger. No one rushes you. No bell rings. No task calls your name. You simply remain, inhale, exhale, like the walls themselves are breathing with you. Eventually, the minstrel gathers his things, a satchel, a folded scrap of parchment, the last crumb of his dream-fed bread tucked carefully in cloth, and one more thing, a single feather found beneath his cushion, midnight blue with a silver tip, a token. He tucks it behind his ear without asking where it came from, because some gifts are meant only to be kept. The door opens gently. The minstrel steps back into the world, and the house closes behind him, like a book that's still warm from being read. Outside, the air has changed again. Warmer now, brighter, but still wrapped in the hush that only a night of true rest can leave behind. The road ahead is sunlit, edged with tiny white blossoms. The path no longer feels like a journey. It feels like a hand held out, an invitation. The minstrel walks slowly, not because he is weary, but because he has remembered how to go gently. And you, wherever you are, you walk with him still. Your footsteps are not separate. They are part of his rhythm, part of his silence, part of this never-ending story that ends only when you're ready to wake. He reaches a bend in the road, and there, nestled in a tree's hollow, rests a final bench made of polished stone and lichen. This is the seat of returning light. Long ago, it was a place where bards would pause before re-entering the world, not to gather courage, but to remember who they had become while walking through silence. The minstrel sits. He does not play music. He does not speak. He simply places a hand to his chest, where the last warmth of the lantern still glows faintly inside him, and he smiles. The kind of smile that doesn't need to be seen, only felt. If you are still here, you may sit too. Let the light inside you flicker gently. Let the breath move through your ribs without effort. Let everything that was heavy float. You are not at the end. There is one more chapter, one final hush that waits just ahead. We've walked so far together, and now we stand at the softest edge of the story. where even words begin to fall asleep. Let everything go now, even the shape of the tale itself. There is only stillness left, and that stillness loves you. The minstrel rises from the seat of returning light and takes one last look at the sky, no longer filled with stars, but with that pale gold morning that feels like the breath of the world itself. Behind him, a path of silence, a string of sacred stops, each one softened now by distance. Ahead of him, not a destination, but simply the next step. He walks forward, and the road accepts him. No fanfare, no farewell. Only the feeling of soft earth underfoot, and the hush of grasses parting with grace. You walk beside him, but you are not watching anymore. You are him. You are the traveler, the dreamer, the one who carries stories not in a satchel, but in your breath. And you've come to the final bend in this quiet journey. It leads not to a castle, not to a village, not to some grand revelation. It leads home, but not the home made of stone and hearth. The home within you, the quiet, deep, wordless center that has always been there, just waiting for you to return. You know this place, even if you've never named it. There is a gate here, low and wooden, held up by ivy and memory. On its arch, a phrase is carved so gently, you almost feel it before you read it. You are safe now. You may rest. The minstrel steps through. You follow. And on the other side, there is no path, no need, just a field of tall, warm grass that bends to your shape. As you lie down, the breeze wraps around your body like soft wool soaked in sunlight. Not to carry you anywhere, just to let you be held. You feel your heart beat slow. You feel the corners of your mind begin to dim like candles nearing the end of their wick. There is no more story now, no more journey. Only the echo of comfort pulsing gently through your chest. Somewhere in the distance, a bird sings a single note, not loud, not long, just enough to say, "This moment is perfect. You are enough." And the moment stretches. It stretches into sleep. It stretches into dream. It stretches into a soft forever where nothing is needed and everything is forgiven. Sleep now. Sleep, not because the story has ended, but because you have arrived at a place inside yourself where endings are just beginnings in disguise. Let the hush take you. Let the warmth stay. You are safe. You are loved. You may rest. Good night.